If you're unhappy with your beats, let me ask you a question. Are you team quantity or team quality? Do you think it's better to make 10 beats in one day or spend 10 days making one beat? Well, whatever you picked, you are wrong. Today, I want to talk about why both quantity and quality are a trap and how both of these are probably the reason you aren't improving. To start, let's first talk about what improving at making beats even means. Already, this can be hard to define. One definition that I mentioned in my course is that getting better at making beats is about problem solving through pattern recognition. Now, this might already sound like nonsense, so let me explain this a bit better. Let's say you start a beat and you pick your first sound, which is this nice piano. Fantastic. Now at this point, you already have problems that you need to solve. Problems like what sound should you add in next? What would sound good with your piano? What pattern should you build with that sound? Is your piano too loud? Is your piano too quiet?
What does your piano sound cheesy? What effects should you be using on your piano?
You have lots of problems that you need to solve to take your idea and turn it into a good beat. Now you might discover that this sound here and that sound there work well with your piano preset. Fantastic. And I believe this is what improving at making beats looks like. You have a specific problem and you figure out a specific solution. As you do this more and more, you start to recognize patterns where certain kinds of problems get solved by using certain kinds of solutions. By recognizing more and more of these patterns of what works and what doesn't, you start to build a bigger and bigger blueprint of all your beat making solutions, and that's how you become a better beat maker. So let's go back to my first point that I made, quality versus quantity. When it comes to improving your beats, both approaches can be holding you back from building this blueprint. Let me explain these one by one. First, let's talk about team quantity. At one point, it was probably a struggle for you to just make one beat a day. All the basic beat making problems really slowed you down, but eventually you figured it out. Then you get the idea to start making multiple beats per day. But let's think about how to do this. You're going to have to become extremely efficient, and most likely you'll do this by making beats that you already know how to make, by following patterns that you already know work. But is this actually improvement? I would say no. You aren't solving any new problems, you're just solving the same problems you already know how to solve. And this is especially bad if you only know how to solve a small number of problems, if your blueprint is really limited. Now to be fair, I don't want to say this is entirely a bad thing. You're learning how to be productive here, which is a valuable skill. But when we're talking about actually improving your beat making skills, I would say that team quantity just isn't doing it. Next, let's talk about team quality. This one's going to be a bit more tough because according to my comments, I think a lot of you believe that quality is the right approach to take here. But let me explain how this can still be bad. The first thing that I want to ask you is why? Why are you spending so much time working on that one beat? Tell me if this sounds familiar. You spent the last 9 days trying to make a good beat, but you just failed over and over again. You start to feel a bit down on yourself because nothing seemed to work, but then all of a sudden, on the 10th day, you do the impossible. You finally make a good beat. But then you make the decision to spend yet another 10 days working on this one beat. Now right off the bat, I don't want to say that this is inherently a bad thing again. You are learning some really valuable skills and you still are definitely improving. But here's my point. When you're doing this, you aren't actually learning how to make a good beat. What you're doing is learning how to make a beat that's already good, even better. The reason why you chose to work on that one beat rather than the other 9 is because it stood out to you as a good beat, that it's worthy of working on even more. But here's the thing. Is this really the most important skill that you need to learn right now? If it takes you 9 days to make one good beat, maybe learning how to make good beats more often is the first skill that you should develop. Usually the basic foundation that you build within the first few hours of making a beat have a bigger impact on whether your beat's going to turn out good or not. It's not the tiny details that most people don't even really notice. So spending 10 days on those small details is for sure solving problems. It's still good, but my point that I'm trying to make here is that there are probably other bigger problems that you should solve first. Figure out what makes that one beat good compared to the other 9 and how to do that more often. That's going to be a more important problem to solve first. And fundamentally, this is the issue that I have with both quantity and quality. Often both can be used as a way to avoid important problems. It just sucks working day after day on a bunch of beats that don't sound good and failing all the time. So instead, you might spend all your time working on ideas that you already know how to do or ideas that are already good, which is why both quantity and quality can become a trap. Really think about why you're focusing on either, because it can be for the wrong reasons. You might just be avoiding having to make bad beats here. The thing is, though, that making bad beats is part of the process of learning. So here's what I recommend if you truly want to improve. Do the scary thing. Do the hard thing. Go right back to making beats that don't sound great, beats that you don't know how to make yet, and try your best to learn. Subject yourself to new problems. And as you do this over time, you'll start to build that blueprint, and your brain will just grow bigger and bigger, just like mine. Anyways, I hope you liked this video, and I hope it helped. See you next time.